We all love a good horror movie, right? A few that jump to mind for me are the classic childhood trauma ones like Paranormal Activity and Final Destination, staples of the horror genre. There is another horror franchise that I genuinely enjoyed, which I found incredibly interesting. That would be VHS, a series of movies, I think it would be 7 to be exact, that center around found footage type short horror films, all put into one, telling a story of how these films negatively impact the viewer, aka the person who is in possession of these tapes. The franchise hosted a handful of awesome but genuinely downright disturbing short films I've ever seen, and today we will be taking a look at them, so without further ado, let's dive in. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the franchise, namely the quality of said films contained inside. Based off of the wiki, as well as Reddit, the first VHS movie had mixed reviews, but people ended up liking it and it was considered a success. The next two films after that were seen in a bad light and weren't all that successful, although one of them being VHS 2 was a success in the eyes of a lot of critics. VHS 2 Viral was just a flop. Now here's where things get interesting. VHS 94 was the best movie out of the entire franchise, critic-wise. Will you look at that? Somehow they managed to pull off a banger amidst the supposed baddies. VHS 99 followed close behind it as another good film, VHS 84 after that, and lastly was VHS Beyond. Now, these last three films seem to be liked, but why? What happened? Well, VHS 1, 2 and Viral were released from 2012 to 2014, which was in the time period when Paranormal Activity and Final Destination were released, as well as Saw. So perhaps people watched these and then saw VHS and had high hopes that it would be as good as Paranormal Activity and Final Destination, but were disappointed? Perhaps. I don't fully agree with all of the critics, to be honest. VHS has become one of my favorite franchises along these. I will admit, some movies weren't as hard-hitting, but I would still consider them well-made and interesting. Like I said in the intro, this franchise hosts a handful of the most disturbing film ideas I've ever seen. For an example, Lily the Siren short, with a creepy lady that ends up turning into a giant flying creature, ending with her flying away with a guy she likes a lot. Just take a look at the way she said it. Yeah, creepy, huh? This short even earned itself a spin-off standalone film called Siren. What I love about this short film in VHS is the fact that from the very beginning, she can be seen in the background, lurking, looking at the cameraman. The way she looks at everyone around her, the group of people she ends up leaving the party with, it's like she isn't human. Nobody would act like this unless they are really horribly badly antisocial and nervous, but then why would she go alone, you know? You would think she would want someone with her to calm her nerves, kinda like a wingman, yet she's alone. I don't know, man, she just creeped me out from the start, and I was rightfully so. She was a freaking siren creature with wings and a split face. What's not creepy and disturbing about that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't a siren supposed to be a water creature, which lures people closer by singing beautiful tunes, or is this from VHS a different variant of that? Oh boy, and before I forget, I gotta talk about one of the short films that really hit me, that made me go WTF, and not just me, my girlfriend too. This one called No Wake. I remember me and her watching it, and out of nowhere, the people got shot and massacred. I have no idea why this, of all things, hit us like a bag of bricks. Maybe it was the suddenness of it all, how realistic it looked, how heartless it felt. The people, or maybe even person who shot them, didn't even flinch. They weren't even fazed. Yet, me and my girl were sitting wide-eyed, shocked at what we just witnessed. Somehow though, they survive the shooting and make it back to the campsite, and it ends there. Now, what on earth happened? How is this possible? Well, it seems these people can't pass away, no matter what. It's hinted at that the water in the lake has some unusual, unnatural properties. It makes you immortal once you come into contact with it, whether that be internally or externally. Let me explain. So, before they enter the lake area, right, one of the guys unhooked a chain saying no trespassing. This already tells us the place is off limits. The cameraman ends up finding a deceased squirrel on the shoreline with its insides laid outside its body. A lady he clearly likes comes up to him, asks what he's doing, and she takes the camera from him to film him, only for the guy to say he found a squirrel, but when he points to it, it's no longer there. Strange, sure, but they move on from that. One of the friends arrive with a boat, and the cameraman asks him if he's gonna be allowed to be the captain of it, and the guy on the boat says something that can only be seen as foreshadowing of what's to come. Over my dead body. They get on the boat, have some fun on the water, and all seems well and dandy, and the cameraman even notices something is off near their campsite until they get shot one by one. They survive somehow and make it back to shore, and 3 of the friends were found deceased. Then the cameraman says something interesting. They didn't go into the water. So from all of this, we can deduce that the water somehow makes you immortal once you come into contact with it. I mean, the squirrel from the introduction made that blatantly obvious. It was supposed to be deceased, but wasn't, because it probably drank the lake water or maybe touched it. So who was the mystery gunman then? The one who shot at the people? Why did they do this? I have a theory as to who I think this guy is. I think this man, or perhaps it could be a woman, who knows, shot these people on the boat, knowing they would survive. Perhaps this person knows about the lake and its fountain of youth type properties. He or she could have perhaps followed the group to the lake and hid somewhere nearby till they were on the lake, disposed of the 3 friends on the shore, and took their shots at the group on the boat. To me, that sounds like something a psychopath would do, not telling the group about the lake and the dangers of its water, and just shooting at them, knowing they would have to live for the rest of their lives with this knowledge, knowing they can't pass away. It's almost like the shooting was some sort of revelation to them at the end of the day, an awakening, a new beginning, when it should have been their end. This is what makes the short film so incredibly disturbing to me. The implications of it all, the ramifications, the outcome. How will they be able to live with all of this? How will they live their lives from this point onwards? It's all so scary and unknown. Or is it? Well, there's a part 2 to this short, where we see a group of people celebrating a girl named Ruth. She will continue the tradition of the family, a family of murderers. Ruth was the one who shot at the people on that fateful lake trip. She was the one who was sprayed with the water gun in her mouth in the starting scene of the film by her cousin. The police arrive at the house, raiding it, likely due to the fact that the 4 survivors of the lake shooting went to the police and it was linked to Ruth. She tries to end her own life but fails for obvious reasons. She's immortal. The police take her away and the short ends there. To me, the second part of the short was unnecessary and unneeded. They could have ended it when the group found the deceased people at the campsite. I still stand with some of my initial theories about part 1, as it still makes sense to me even after part 2 gets added into the mix, and it makes the whole thing so much more gruesome and disturbing. Another short, coming from the VHS 2 film, made me question the concept of zombies. what a sentient, free-thinking zombie could look like if it ever existed. Yes, I'm talking about the short of the guy riding his bike through the forest and stumbling upon a lady who is clearly not doing very well. She bites him and he slowly starts to turn into a zombie. Two people come along to try and help and he ends up infecting them as well. Together, all three of them come across a group of people celebrating a birthday and they end the lives of everyone there. Well, not everyone, but a lot of the people. Some of them escaped. It's here where our protagonist of the short sees his reflection in the car window and he realizes that he looks different. Out of nowhere, a car comes along and treats him like he's roadkill. He butt dials his girlfriend by accident in the heat of the moment, and it's here he realizes that something is very wrong. He knows her, he recognizes her. In the midst of all of the realizations he's having, he crawls towards the shotgun, puts it up to his head and ends his life. What an insanely interesting yet disturbing concept. The idea of a sentient, thinking zombie is so fascinating to me. I don't think movies have tried something like that, and if they did, I bet it was a comedy skit and it wasn't very successful since I never heard of such a thing until the VHS 2 movie. Our protagonist turned into a mindless zombie, doing its zombie thing until he sees his reflection and then his mind, his memories, his thoughts all come back to him. It's like he's himself again before he got bit, but the only difference is he can't talk anymore and he's a zombie. He craves human flesh, like how a vampire would crave blood. I think this is the reason why he ended his own life. He probably watched horror movies, zombie movies with his girlfriend, and he knows all too well how it tends to play out. So he didn't want that outcome for him and his girlfriend, so he ended it there and then. That's so interesting. The moment he realized what he is, what he can do, what he is capable of now, he puts his humanity first, his love for his girlfriend and humanity first, and he ends it. I really liked the short due to the fact that it made me think. It made me ponder the idea of what a zombie could be, other than the stereotypical brain-eating, flesh-devouring beast they are. Before we move on from VHS 2, there is another short in this film called Safe Haven that, it hit me really hard as well. And it was the short right after the zombie one we just discussed. The short I'm talking about is the school cult one. My absolute freaking goodness, was this one graphic and disturbing. Long story short, a group of friends go to a school of some kind to interview its principal, and things just go downhill more and more as the short progresses. When our protagonist people, when they enter the school, we see a bunch of Blair Witch Project-esque stick figures laying on the ground, on the walls, and it all just shouts witchcraft to me. It shouts witchcraft and Satanism to me immediately. We end up seeing that the principal is part of a cult and the children are all a part of it. It's like their bodies are a vessel for this demonic being they are clearly worshipping. A horned goat creature ends up being born from a lady who cheated on a man with his friend, which does make sense, an evil creature spawning from a cheating partner, which is considered a sin in Christianity, Catholicism, and etc. We see a lot of people ending their own lives as well as each other's, and all of this seems to imply that all of this were brought forth through the presence of evil, aka the demon creature. I guess they also could end their lives as some sort of sacrifice or respect to the creature. Their way of saying that they have done their part and they can be disposed of and let the creature take over. Very disturbing short and very, very graphic. The way the creature came out of the stomach of the woman, to me at least, I don't know about you, but heavily implies to me that her stomach acted like some sort of gateway or portal for the creature to come through. It's the size of a full-grown person which means it couldn't have fit inside the belly at that size. It becomes even more clear that it's a portal when the ladies around her on the altar sit around it. Speaking of portals, how can I forget about the parallel monster short from VHS Viral? It tells the story of a man named Alfonso who's a scientist. He builds a gateway, a portal, a mirror of sorts to a parallel universe from his own. On the other side of the doorway he sees himself, but in another universe. They are amazed at what they see from their respective sides, and they decide, hey, let's swap for a while and see each other's worlds. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Right? Right? Wrong. Everything went wrong. Our Alfonso notices that the world he stepped into is way different than that of ours. Likewise, the parallel universe one sees the wife of Alfonso laying in bed sleeping. He apparently doesn't have your stereotypical manhood. He has a giant alien for a private part. Same goes for the wife in the parallel universe. She has some sort of Venus flytrap type private area, or should I say Venus flytrap? Sorry, I just had to. Anyways, the alien Alfonso almost ends the life of the wife in the bed, but she ends up managing to survive. Our Alfonso makes it back to his world, aka ours, and his wife sees him, thinks he's bad and he's the creature thing she probably ended the life of, and she ends his, leaving us shocked at what the heck we just witnessed. Now, clearly this parallel universe has a lot of satanic imagery, such as people burning, bags of what looks like meat, people with glowing eyes, crosses, and things of that nature. People on Reddit discussed the short, and someone there gave a very interesting theory of what this parallel world could be. They posed the idea that in our world and that of Alfonso, we are made in the image of God. But in the parallel universe, the world was made in the image of Satan. That's why the people have alien-like private parts, and why there's so many satanic imagery all around the place. The person on Reddit also said that near the end of the short, the evil wife tells us something about a domestic law that allows the wife to end the life of the partner. That in itself isn't too noteworthy until you realize that this law sounds awfully similar to a law of the Church of Satan, the fourth law to be exact, that says, quote, "If a guest in your lair annoys you, treat him cruelly and without mercy." This is very interesting and drives even more home the idea that this parallel universe is satanic in origin. I will add onto this theory of the Redditor by positing the idea that perhaps the reason why the evil Alfonso and the evil wife wanted to end the lives of the good ones is due to the fact that evil and good are always in battle, and evil always wants to triumph over good, no matter the cost. Perhaps even the reason why was cause the world is full of Satan and there's no good people, so they don't have anyone to destroy until Alfonso opened the portal. Another idea I have is that maybe the evil beings wanted to take over the bodies of the good ones to make them bad as well, and therefore have an open portal to go into a universe, a whole complete new universe, and convert people from there or to destroy them. This short was incredibly disturbing to me, making me wonder what God would be in other universes if they believed in him. What other universes would look like parallel to our own? Would they even look like us? Would they walk or talk like us? Would they believe what we believe? It's all so fascinating and really makes you wonder. While on the topics of other worlds, what on earth were those people in the latest VHS movie, VHS Beyond? The short was called Stalk, and it tells the story of a group of people, a police unit to be exact, that went to a house to raid it amidst a slew of baby disappearances that has swept the area. They end the lives of everything on the inside, which seems to be some kind of zombie-like people. There's also a meteor inside of the house, insinuating that perhaps all of this was brought on by a comet. They eventually get to the attic and the zombie people get back up, ready for round 2. We also see that the inside of the heads of these people in the house is empty. There's no brain inside their heads. This is not your average zombie. As you know, the stereotypical zombie has a brain, and if you shoot anywhere else other than the head, it won't stop moving. Once the head is shot, it stops moving and is considered deceased. Even though a zombie is already deceased, but not brain deceased, you know what I mean. Anyways, it's here in the attic where we see a bird-type creature, and it's been feeding babies in cribs. These babies don't look human at all. The police unit ends up taking the life of the bird creature, and it's implied that this creature is a stork. That bird that's depicted in pop culture as carrying a baby in its beak, which makes total sense as the short is about babies being abducted. My theory about the short is that an alien parasite was trapped, or maybe even placed inside the comet, and it landed in a house. Perhaps this house was the scene of a party, due to the fact that there's multiple people in the house and that the people didn't live there, and also they were all wearing different outfits, so it kind of implies to me as well that it was Halloween, some sort of costume party, or maybe it's just people that worked in the daytime, and when it was nighttime they didn't even go and change their work uniforms, they just immediately went to go party. And yeah, maybe they had a party in the abandoned house and the comet hit the place. The people then heard the blast, check out the upper floor, and it's here where they all were infected with some sort of bug or parasite, turning them into a literal mindless zombie. Inside the comet was a different type of parasite, and it got out, which eventually grew into the stork bird-like creature. I like this concept a lot. A stork, which the world sees in a mythical light, tells us that a stork carries a baby as a sign of life and where it came from. This myth was brought forward to dodge the topic of the reality of sex and the pain of childbirth when telling children where they came from. Pretty innocent, I will say, but with this horror short, the creator tried to flip this myth on its head and give it new life and new meaning. Instead of a stork bringing forth life and bringing good into the world, it creates a new life by taking that of another and turning it bad, turning it into a parasite of sorts that lives and feeds off of other living things. Before this bird creature had its life taken by the police squad, it transferred itself, or better yet, its essence, into a nearby baby, further driving home the idea that this creature must be a parasite of some kind, as it needs to be and brought forth and kept alive through other forms of life. I also want to mention the creature or whatever it is that held one of the babies. I have no idea who or what this is, but I don't think it's human. If it is, then it used to be, but got turned into a hideous looking abomination. Perhaps this creature, alongside the brainless zombie people, were made what they are through the works of the stork creature. The people had their brains sucked out of their heads by the stork, as brains are a source of knowledge which the stork could use to grow, evolve and expand its reach and goals. The creature that held one of the babies were the first host of the parasite, but the parasite left the body and went on to infect an actual stork bird, making it bipedal. This does make sense to me and makes it all so much more fascinating to think about. Lastly, we have this short. Yeah, I found this one to be pretty grim and disturbing for a number of reasons, but before we get into that, let me give you a short summary of what the short is all about. A group of friends travel to a lake to go have some fun. It later turns out that the driver, who was also the one who organized the trip, lied to everyone about her intentions for coming to the lake. She lured them out there so she could prove to the world that there is indeed a murderer roaming the area, and she would prove this by filming it all. She used her friends and her boyfriend to lure the killer out and for them to be collateral damage in her pursuit for proof. All the friends ended up paying the price and had their lives taken, ending with the lady losing hers as well, failing her goal, or maybe succeeding, whichever one you choose. Sure, she didn't release the tape to the public herself, but she did end up showing the world through her tape being found near her deceased body, aka us watching. So depending on which one you go with, she failed or she succeeded. What's strange about this killer is the fact that whenever it's around, the camera glitches and malfunctions, leaving the face distorted, unable to be identified. What makes this even more strange is the fact that the killer was caught in a brutal trap once, with spikes going through the head, yet he survived. This tells me only one thing. This person that roams this area is paranormal in nature. No matter how you slice this proverbial cake, this has to be a paranormal entity due to the fact that the camera glitches out when it's nearby, it appears out of nowhere without warning, and traps, which should be deadly to the average person, don't work on it. It's also the fact that the lady, this one, says that the killer was never caught. Sure, that doesn't definitively prove it's paranormal, but adding that to the other points that I just mentioned makes it more believable to be paranormal. Perhaps this killer could be demonic, a malevolent entity out to cause pain and sorrow. What makes the short even more disturbing, other than the nature of the killer, is the fact that the girlfriend, the one who organized the trip, lured the people she supposedly cared about to this place, feeling no remorse, no regret, even after seeing her deceased people. She's heartless, calculating, and at the end of the day, a murderer just like the entity, because she was complicit in luring them there to have their lives taken. Another thing that makes the short so disturbing to me is the way in which these friends lost their lives through the hands of this entity. The brutality of it, having your organs ripped out, having your throat cut, it's all just so grim and disturbing. And like I mentioned, what also makes this so disturbing is the fact that traps don't seem to work on this thing. I don't know how that's possible if it was going to be a human, but it needs to be a paranormal activity type creature thing for it to make sense that traps won't work on it. A literal spike went through its head, yet it survived. That's not a human thing. That's not possible. So this must be a paranormal entity for sure. I love this franchise. I think it's great. It's interesting and I can't wait to see what the next movie brings to the table for me to chew on. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, tap the like button, comment down below your thoughts and opinions, and please be sure to share with others you think might be interested as well, and subscribe to soothe that fascination.